Why did he choose that?
So for me, it would be storage full. Everyone has got someone else, and see, you don't have anyone else. He wants us to be separated and isolated so that we can just listen to him. The feeling of not being enough, no matter what you achieve, you don't get that sense of satisfaction. We just pick up one single thought and make an entire movie out of it.
It's just one portion of it, and we go to the climax, we come to the end, everything, the whole movie is ready. Let's bring all the thoughts and submit to God and surrender to Him.
Hey guys, welcome to this video. Hope you all are doing well. This is Ishant.
And this is Nikhil.
As you all know, we are going through a sermon series in our church called Mind Wars. And today we thought, why not just have a quick and fun conversation about the topic 1 of the series, which is What Happened to My Mind by Pastor Nuri. So before we dive into the sermon, I have a question for you. Can you describe your mind using a phone status?
I think flight. Why did he choose that?
I'm still in flight.
Okay.
How about you, Ishan?
So for me, it would be storage full.
Oh,
Yeah, too many thoughts and just keep on adding one by one. It's like storage full. No more memory.
I can totally resonate with that.
Yeah. Also, we heard Pastor Norin speaking in the sermon that not every single thought that comes in our mind is really ours. Sometimes it can be the voice of enemy, sometimes it can be the voice of God, sometimes it can be our own imagination making up scenarios and giving us feedbacks. I just wanted to ask you one thing. What's the dumbest thing your mind has convinced you of recently?
So, one of the loudest voice over my head throughout the speak was, it's more than your capacity. So, whatever I'm doing and everything, it was like, I couldn't do it. It was like, demotivating whatever I'm doing. It was like my plate was full. So, I thought, okay, it's out of my capacity. And I was convicting myself saying, okay, it's more than that I can do.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think I kind of have a similar answer where my mind is constantly looping in this thought that you are alone, there's no one for you, and everyone has got someone else, and see, you don't have anyone else. So, which I feel is a lie, because first, I'm a child of God. That my identity comes from there, it doesn't change. Second is, I have people, I have family, I have beautiful community here, I have so many friends here that I can hang out, that I can have fun, that I can look up to. I have leaders who push me constantly to be the best version of myself. So these all lies that the enemies was trying to feed into my brain for a couple of weeks, and that's not true, right?
Yeah.
But did it actually happen? The things that your mind was looping you in, did it actually happen?
Yes, it did. A few days ago, when I was having all this kind of thoughts, being occupied with work, and feeling like, it's more than what I can do and everything. All these thoughts, whatever you said, it's completely relatable to that. Where these thoughts led me towards loneliness. One fine day, as I was done with the work and I was coming back to home, these thoughts were, keep on rushing in my mind, and like, it was like, there's no one to hear, no one to listen what I'm going through. It led me towards the loneliness, and which was not true. When I came back home, I had a friend.
Yeah.
I just came, I cried, and he was there with me. And then the next day morning, I was able to reach out to my leaders as well.
Yeah.
So, it was just a lie, as you said, and things are not true. It was just the thoughts which were ruining my mind.
Yeah. I think one common point which the enemy tries to do to mess up with our mind is to isolate us.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't want us to be with friends. He doesn't want us to be with people, the community. He wants us to be separated and isolated so that we can just listen to him.
True.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. Because as I was telling my story as well, the other thought was also to just isolate myself.
Yeah.
I thought of, okay, I'll just go in one corner, have the same thought again and again.
Yeah.
But in reality, it was different. When I went, as I said, I had a friend. The next morning, I had my leaders as well. And you know what? It's not just having them, but they led me towards Christ as that play. they pointed out you're not alone. They said, I am with you. And more than that, they also pointed me towards Christ. So that was something amazing.
Awesome, awesome. We also heard about this Rapshaka in the sermon, right? Rapshaka doesn't attack with weapons, that rather it attacks the mind. We can understand, I can feel the power when he attacks the mind without weapons, right? He knows what's a man's weakness is. So just wanted to ask you, if Rapshaka had a social media account in 2026, what would it say?
I think, comparison, like look at them, how successful they are, and look at them, the status that they are carrying.
Yeah.
This kind of comparison could be the more.
Yeah, I think the feeling of, you're not doing enough. No matter how much you do, no matter what you do, there is always one person doing it better than on social media. And you just see that and you demean all the things that you accomplished, right? Talking about social media, as we know, most of the young adults spend their time online. Social media, Facebook, Snapchat, and so many apps, right? What do you think most of the young adults listen to these days?
I think, just like as I said, comparison, also more of, if they achieve something, that's where their life is successful.
Yeah.
Because, the social media portrays in a way where, they showcase their family, where they showcase their wealth, status, owning a mansion or luxury cars. And the other side, their life is not the same as they, portray in the Instagram. But when people they see, right, then automatically their brain will be like, okay, I have to do something. I have to earn this kind of money, this. And nowadays, the trendy thing is SIP.
Yes.
So all are aiming towards that 1 crore.
So the common man is sort of in 2 years, 3 years old.
Exactly. How about you, Ishant? What is that one lie that you personally are listening to often?
Like as you said, it's all gold and glitters on social media, right? And we spend most of our time there. So one lie that I'm hearing to right now is that you're not enough. As I previously mentioned, that the feeling of not being enough, no matter what you achieve, you don't get that sense of satisfaction, right? So past few weeks, I have been listening to this thought, and when Akka was mentioning about this Rapshaka, why he attacks our mind, I kind of understood because most of us spend our time inside our mind. We think about all the scenarios, all the possibilities, all the permutation combinations, and things which might not be even in this real world. But I think naturally we are such a good storyteller ourselves, we are such a visionary that we just pick up one single thought and make an entire story or an entire movie out of it. And we reach a conclusion ourselves, which may or may not be true. But we keep on worrying about that conclusion without giving it to God. When He says worries for me, you just rest. But we don't let that happen. We worry about the thoughts, we worry about the scenarios, we worry about the outcomes, things which are not even in our control. So I think that's what I'm personally struggling right now, where I'm not able to bring every single thought to God and submit it to Him. Rather, I'm taking control of them and creating so many scenarios and just putting myself into this loop of worry that I'm struggling to get out of it. But I think this sermon actually helped me to bring every single thought to God and let Him work on that.
Yeah, I get it, Ishant. As you were mentioning about that, creating our own story, creating your own movie. Yeah, I can understand that. Most of the times we just isolate ourselves and, sometimes we imagine the things which are not even true, just are imaginary. It's just one portion of it and we go to the climax, we come to the try and everything, the whole movie is ready. Yeah, I can understand that, yeah.
So there was this particular story in the sermon which I'm just thinking about. It was a story of Hezekiah. As we heard, in times of trouble, Hezekiah ran into the house of Lord.
Yeah.
But do you think we do that? Like in times of trouble, we just turn into house of maybe comparison, WhatsApp, Google, imaginary arguments and what ifs and whatnots. Have you ever felt that?
I think, most of the times we are not like Hezekiah. We just, that's not the first thing that, we are here under the house of the Lord. But what I do is, fewer times it's my friend Mike.
Yeah, actually that's true. I know about that, so I can tell that. And if you are being really honest here, Nikhil, which house do you run into when you face any trouble or you have any negative thoughts?
As you were mentioning few things, one of them is imaginary arguments. So most of the times, I start this imaginary arguments with a person, and every time, I will be the person who always wins the argument. And I say, but in reality, it's not. Yes. Okay, and so that's it. So yeah, but the first thing, it could be the imaginary arguments.
Yeah. Actually, for me, I think I run into isolation. We just spoke about how it's dangerous, but yeah, I kind of run into isolation when any trouble come or I'm just going through the loop of negative thoughts. I always felt that is a safe space, but which is not actually. I keep feeding these negative thoughts when I'm alone, and it just turns out into a loop and a pattern where I'm feeding my mind with all these unwanted voices, thoughts, and which is really not good. Yeah, I think what challenged me in this sermon was pretending that these house doesn't exist. It's acknowledging that they do exist, but we choose not to stay there.
Yeah.
No, let's bring every thought, let's go to the house of Lord, let's bring our fear, anxiety, thoughts and give it to him and rest in that house, right? That's what we learned from the story of Hezekiah, right?
That's very true. Running to our friends might sometimes help, sometimes not. And the imaginary arguments or whatever the things whatever the things, each of us have a different thing. But, as you said, nothing gives us that rest.
Yeah.
And it's always that constant battle in our brain, and we become so tired emotionally, and, we get drained in our brain thinking all these things. As you said, of course, surrendering to the Lord, and giving it all to Him gives us the actual rest. As you have said, you and I have been there, and, that's true.
Yeah, I think that's actually well said. And I just had a small doubt. We are saying, like, in times of trouble, let's just run towards the house of God, like how Hezekiah did. But we face challenges, right? It's not easy. We are just saying it out loud right now. But when actually the trouble comes, our first instinct is, where should I? I'm so confused, yeah. And most often we end up with a friend, or most often we end up being alone, right? I think that's where the friendship and the community helps a lot, right? Like how we have our connect room church and our friends there and our leaders there who always keep pushing us towards God too. And as you mentioned about Mike, when you were feeling alone, you came back home, he was there, you were sharing things, and I'm sure he must have told you and pointed you towards God, right? I think that's where the community, it's so important to be there, share life with them, share gospel with them, helping each other to just run towards God in every situation.
That's true.
I think this sermon really challenges us with one simple question. Is this thought from God, or is this the Rapshaka talking? Because not every single thought deserves our agreement. Not every single thought deserves our attention. And definitely not every single thought deserves to become our identity.
Yeah. Instead of believing what we think, rather we can bring all our thoughts to God and submit to Him. Instead of believing the lies that enemy is putting in our ears, maybe this week, instead of believing whatever we think, let's bring all the thoughts and submit to God and surrender to Him. And let's rest, and He will take complete control of it.
Yeah.
And whenever this lie shows up, let's answer it with the truth.
Yeah, well said, Niket. With that, we came to the end of this video, and I hope this conversation was really helpful for every one of us. To know a bit more about this topic, what happened to my mind. And we have a series of videos coming up for this Mind Wars, and stay tuned for the next video where we'll talk about, will my mind ever rest? See you there.
Bye.